With me today is Colleen Payne Nabors. She is founder and president of Mobile Cardiac Imaging, MCI Diagnostic Center, one of the nation's fastest growing private companies. She also has a multi-million-dollar commercial real estate investment and is a much sought after motivational speaker. She lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she's here to talk about I Did It My Way and It Worked.
Thank you.
What prompted you to write this book?
You know, I'm very fortunate that I get to go around the country and speak a lot in terms of motivation, entrepreneurship, and so at all of the events in which I attend, people want a product. They want something more than I have. So I spent a lot of my time waiting and answering questions. So I thought that it was only appropriate that at some point in my life, when things slowed down, that I could sit and write a book and have something to leave behind. And that is what prompted me to write the book. And now when I go out and speak, you know, I actually have something that they can take with them, they can read, they can email me, they can correspond with me. So that is what really prompted the writing of the book.
Now it's divided up into a number of, the titles are very clear what you're talking about. Was that the first thing you did, is said I need to talk about A, B, C, D, and E, or did you just start writing your story?
You know what, BJ, I wish I could say that I did it that way, but when I started thinking about how to write the book, the concept came up when I go out and speak, what are the top 30 things that someone wants to hear from me? And then that is how the book evolved for me, with the chapters of branding and redefining and I can do. Those are all things that when I go out and speak, people want to hear that. So I try to put those concepts into the book.
Well, you start with a quick synopsis of your story, of how you founded your company, which I was sitting there thinking, I don't think I've got the guts to do something like that, because you really just said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and you went out and did it.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes you don't know what you can't do. One of the things that I did know is that failure wasn't an option when I started this company. And I think part of the book allowed me to know who I was. And so I start the book about a brief history of me, who I am. And I think that what has really taken off and picked up with this book is a I am statement. And I think no matter how many times people read this book, they always come back and they email me and they correspond with my I am statement. My I am statement is I am Colleen Payne Nabors. I am small business owner. I am woman entrepreneur. I am small business person for the entire state of Oklahoma. So my I am statement goes on. But I've heard other people's I am statements that are just wonderful. So that part of that, the book, has created such a synergy with that. Just I am. Because I believe that in order for you to be successful in anything, you have to know who you are first. And that starts with I am.
Yeah, I think that's sometimes difficult for most people to think about really who I am. They kind of know who their kids are and who their boss is and that sort of thing, but they don't spend a great deal of time reflecting on exactly what is it I am, exactly what is it I want to do.
But you know, most everyone knows who they are. The key in the concept is that we don't speak it. You are BJ, you're an interviewer, you have a lot of I ams already. But the key in the concept is to put those down on paper and to know who you are, because I think success starts with that. Because once you know who you are, then it's so easy to explain that. It's sort of like I took that concept from a 30-minute, you know how they say you have a 30-second elevator speech that you can sell anything? My I am statement is my 30-second elevator speech for this book, for this product. So people do have that. It's just putting it together and putting it on words.
Well, I found very interesting the long list of things, because I know a few people who own their own businesses, but I had not really thought about what all is involved, and there's quite a bit that you have to do. I mean, first of all, you have to have the technical background for the product you're selling, or the service that you're selling. But you also have to be a business person, which is an entirely separate thing, I see. A lot of people could run the machines that are in the truck that travels around, but very few of them, I think, have the business knowledge to put a company together.
I would agree. By profession, I'm a nuclear medicine technologist. So when I started the company 12 years ago, that is where I started. But the interesting part is that that nuclear medicine technology is all science. And 20 years ago, we weren't required to take any courses that were related to business, because business and science didn't go together. So I have never taken a business course. And I don't necessarily know that I would suggest that for everyone, but the part of my life is that I knew is that failure wasn't an option. So the moment that I chose to go into this business, it didn't matter that I hadn't taken a business course. I knew that I had a product to be delivered. I knew that there were patients out there that needed this service, and I thought that I could deliver that. So unfortunately, I never took a business class, but it doesn't really matter, because my company is a multi-million-dollar status. It's been listed the last 2 consecutive years with Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest companies in the country. So I think it's about who you are as a person. If you believe that you believe in yourself and you believe that you can, does a business class matter? I'm all science. I can tell you anything about your body. I can tell you anything that's functioning in there. But business classes I didn't take. So it's drive, determination, and passion.
Well, I have to ask this question. When you decided this is what I'm going to do, you got your financing, you got your committed clients, and so on, you're up taking delivery on your truck. Did you really think that you were going to spend some of your time under a truck figuring out what the brake line was? You
know, that story, absolutely not. The moment that we went to Chicago to pick that truck up, and the driver that was assigned to me said you needed to bring some coveralls, and we spent 3 days on the ground trying to figure out the brake lines, etc. No, I did not. But I also was very clear that Gary wasn't going to allow me to drive that truck back to Oklahoma. So I think at that very moment, on the way back to the drive, I kept asking him, allow me to drive this truck, because I have patience. And he kept saying, no, you're going to break the truck, you're going to tear it up, or you're going to do this, or you know, you're going to have an accident. And it was at that very moment that my leadership skills kicked in. Because what I realized is that I made $40,000 a year. I was able to buy almost $1 million truck. So concept told me that if I could do all that, I said, Gary, what I'm going to do is we're going to pull over at the next station. I'm going to put you out, call your boss, get you fired, and I'm going to Oklahoma. So that is when leadership's kicked in. And that is when I believe that I can look back as I wrote this book, and I realized that those were all things that allowed me to stay in business. Because those were the pieces that I needed to continue to make me stronger.
Well, and at the very last part of the book, you talk a little bit about being a woman and balancing being a mother and a wife and that sort of thing with putting together a business. And I found it I thought very valuable and very important. Most men don't even think about that, but a woman's got to.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think that was probably one of the greatest challenges, because you know, I look at a lot of my male friends that have businesses, and some of the things that they are able to do. I could never ask anyone in my office to go to Sonic and get me a large drink. I would do it myself. But men don't function like that. You know, a very interesting story. When I first got in business, I had been in business maybe 5 years, and a friend of mine started a company. And I always tell this story. The first thing that he bought was a woman. I say that jokingly because you know what he bought? He bought an assistant. He had no money. He didn't even have any clients. He had no patients. But the first thing that he thought that he needed was an assistant. I've been doing this company for 13 years, and you know, honestly, I still don't have an assistant, because I get up every day and I go to work. And I don't know that it's too late now for me to have an assistant. I have people that help me, absolutely. But to actually go and have someone sit outside my door, and I run about 4 or 5 companies. You know, so it is challenging. I think it is, because my husband and my son, they could care less how many awards I win, how many events I'm at, because I still have to go home, I still have to cook dinner, I still have to make sure that their life is done.
Right.
So it's a balance. Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure.
Thank you. Colleen Payne Nabors has been here talking about her book, I Did It My Way, and It Worked. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.